So guys, before we get started, don't forget we do have that amazing discount code thanks to Tier 0 Games going on right now. And all you have to do is put in ZWGames5 to get 5% discount on your total order at tier0games.com. The links will be in the description below, so check those out for massive discounts on all your Hidden Summoner needs as well as all your other Yu-Gi-Oh needs. But let's get on with the profile. What's up YouTube, Zephyr Games, bringing you a test time video for the Pranked deck profile that I showed you guys the other day. Now what we're going to do is our standard test stands of 2 going first and 2 going second, and it show you exactly what this deck can do. So after a very decent cut and a decent shuffle, our opening hand of 5 will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now that's pretty much, these cards are less relevant right now. These are pretty much the perfect hand. This gets you a lot, either a Regeki or a Heavy Storm during your opponent's turn. So what we're going to do is we're going to activate our Pranked's place. We're going to use the effect of that to search out one of our Prankeds. So we're going to go with Fancies. We're then going to activate Instant Fusion, going straight into Rocket. We're then going to normal summon the Fancies, and we're going to link Rocket and Fancies together and go into Doodle Doodle Doo. We're then going to do Chain Link 1, Chain Link 2, and Chain Link 3. That way you can protect your cards as we go. So 3, actually no, I don't think we can do 3 because a 3 is the reduced, isn't it? If you link summon, you can have all monsters your opponent. Yeah, so you can't do the 3, so it would be 2 and 1. So the 2 of Doodle Doodle Doo will search you out a Pandemonium. There we go. And Fancies will bring you out a Dropsies. Fancies would also have to send one, so we will send, well, you could send Pandemonium if you wanted to. We've pretty much opened up all the spells that we needed. So if you wanted to, you can send a Pranks. But obviously you can only use one Pranks effect per turn. There we go, right, okay, so now I've got those in the graveyard, got those there. You could use Doodle Doo's effect to add back Pranks and Fancies, and then you'd have to use Pandemonium to fuse between the two with what you've got left on board. But what you're better off doing is, because we need the Pandemonium, that's the thing, you need to make sure you keep hold of the Pandemonium. If we link those, I suppose the best charts you've got is you can link these into Bow Wow Bark. This is just so we have as much disruption during our opponent's turn as possible. Dropsies effect goes off and summons out Lampsies. Now we need 2 in the grave, but what you can do is you can activate Pranks, you set the trap and set Pandemonium. You can use, we need to bring back the Doodle Doo, we need to bring those back to hand. No, you haven't really got a lot to use with the Pranks because you need all this stuff in the grave. So what you would then do is you pass your turn, and then during your opponent's standby phase you would tribute off Bow Wow Bark, bring back, where are we? Bring back your Dropsies and your Fancies to your hand. And then obviously you can continue or you can start to interrupt them now, but you'd activate Pandemonium. And Pandemonium fuse Dropsies and Fancies for YUGIOH. That will then trigger Dropsies and Fancies effect, so you'd get out another Dropsies and another Fancies and send a spell or trap to deck, obviously off the Fancies. So let's get rid of a place, because we've already got another place in our hand. There we go. And then you tribute off your YUGIOH and go into bring back your Bow Wow Bark and your Doodle Doodle Doo. And then what you can do now is you can activate the trap and go link those 2 together and go straight into your Rip Roar and Rooster. That deals with your opponent's back row. Alternatively, what you would do is instead of using your Pandemonium and going into your YUGIOH, you would tribute off the Bow Wow Bark to add these 2 back to your hand. You'd then activate the Pandemonium, fusing all 3 of these, going into the butler. There we go, and that gives you Raigeki on board, and then obviously all 3 of them would trigger, so you'd get all 3 back as well. So that's kind of your alternatives there. That would then let you keep the trap face down should you need it. But that's just an example of how you can get a Raigeki, or of course a Harpy's Feather Duster, I suppose is a better analogy for it, during your opponent's turn. And that was pretty much relying on only 2 cards, because you can send and search and get the rest of the pieces as you go anyway. Okay, so now let's move on to our second test hand going first. Again, that's kind of like your ideal board. That's what you want. You want to have the ability to either Raigeki your opponent or Harpy's Feather Duster your opponent. Now, the Raigeki might be a little bit more useful in today's meta, but then, of course, if you've got Sky Strikers, they've got to be very careful with what they set, because if you do it in the end phase, if you hold all of your stuff to the end phase, then, of course, you nuke your opponent's board. And then with YUGIOH, if you bring him on board, I believe all of your pranking monsters can't be destroyed by battle that turn. So that's pretty cool as well. So, after another decent shuffle and a decent cut, our second test hand going first will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Less adventurous, unfortunately, but we can just straight up get a Colossus. If we wanted to, you discard the Dark, use Dark's effect, search out another copy. If they try to ash it, you go Call by the Grave. Then you could normal summon your fancies and just straight up tribute your fancies straight into a Colossus. Now, obviously, that isn't the best of hands, but that is just a quick little run through to get into a Colossus with that type of hand. So what we'll do is we will redo that hand so we can show you a little bit more going first, but that's just a minimal example of how to get a Colossus. So again, after a very decent shuffle and a good old cut, our next test hand going first will be 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, we just need one more prank kid. 5, perfect. So we've got a straight up poly on that one. So we'll activate the poly. That way we can still get a Colossus if we want to. So we poly those 2 together, go into Rocket. We then get Fancies and Dropsies effect. So obviously we want to bring out, we're going to bring out, not Dropsies, we're going to bring out a Fancies, and we're going to bring out a Lampsies, and we're going to be sending the Prank Kids Plan to the graveyard. Then what you want to do is you want to tribute off your Rocket, bring back your Fancies and your Dropsies, or you could use Rocket's effect, but this one gives you a bit more advantage. If you can get 2 link zones, of course you could end up with 2 Colossuses as well, so we'll try and do that. So if we link a Lampsies and a Dropsies together and go into Doodle Doodle Doo. Yeah, there is a way of getting 2 Colossus as well. Lampsies effect goes off to burn our opponent for 500, and that can special summon us out. Let's go for a Dropsies. Doodle Doo's effect will go off. We can search out a place if you want to. Or let's get a bit of recyclability going and go with Pranks. While we're at it, we'll discard Dark to get another copy of itself. That way we've used the Thunder Cards effect in hand. Then what you can do is you can tribute off this Fancies. Obviously we've already used this effect this turn. And go into a Colossus down there. Then you can go, let's have a look. You could tribute off the Doodle Doo, or of course you could link it further up if you wanted to. But if we keep at least, if we tribute off the Doodle Doo, add back a Fancies and a Lampsies, we can then tribute off the Fancies. No, because we need the base for fusion summoning, don't we really? If we link those 2 into Bow Wow Bark over on this side, yeah, that gives us a bit more playing around. We haven't normal summoned, so if you really, really wanted to, you can normal summon your Fancies and turn that into a second Colossus. That would then allow you to set the Pandemonium, activate the Pranks, send back 1 Fancies, 1 Dropsies, and send back the plan. Obviously we could add back the plan if we wanted to, but you know, that would send 3 back in. And it still means that your Pandemonium's live as well. I'm just going to draw a random card, which is a poly. Absolutely fine. So then you would pass to your opponent's turn, and then during your opponent's standby phase, let's try and darken this up so you can see it a bit more. Or during their turn, you'd go Bow Wow. Bow Wow would tribute off, add back a Fancies and a Dropsies to your hand. Then you'd activate Pandemonium, fusing Dropsies, Fancies, and Lampsies. Go into the Butler, and then Lampsies, Dropsies, and Fancies effects will go off, so you'd get another Fancy, send in a place. You'd get a Lampsies, burning your opponent for 500, and you'd get a Dropsies, gaining 1,000. So then your board is now a Regeki, quick play Regeki, plus 2 Colossuses that your opponent can't search for, and they'll have at least 1 Thunder Protection in their graveyard. And then your hand, of course, is a Dark and a Poly. So you do have a lot to play around with there. If you feel that you're in danger at any point, you can go Butler, nuke it. Alternatively, if you didn't want to go into Butler, you could go into Weather Washer, just to give your Prankids a bit of protection, but it's not really needed. So yeah, that's it for the second test stand. And if your opponent can get past 2 Colossus and a Regeki, you know, that would be very, very interesting. They would have to open up like double Widow Anchor just to get rid of the Colossus so they can start doing their searches, if not triple Widow Anchor, just to get past your Butler as well. Not that the Butler's going to do a huge amount, because obviously you're only going to nuke 1 card. So in that alternative, you'd probably find a way to fuse into the Wishy Washer. Wishy Washer's effect would tribute off and bring back the 2 Link 2s. And then you'd make sure you kept the trap, or you searched out a trap, or added the trap back to hand with Doodle Doodle Doo, to then link up. Anyway, now let's start going second. That would have been a great going second board as well. So after a good old shuffle, keep knocking the camera. After a good old shuffle and a very decent cut, our first test hand going second will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so the Gold Sark can get us a Thunder Dragon summon from deck, but we can actually get a Colossus play. You do have to go around it at the longer route. So we'll activate the Gold Sark. Gold Sark would banish our Thunder Dragon Dark, which would then trigger his effect to search us out a Thunder Dragon Roar. We're then going to discard Swamp to get a... Oh, can you imagine Swamp King was a blooming Thunder? Easy Colossus. Anyway, so search out the Poly. You could obviously bait with one or the other if you wanted to, entirely up to you. Now what you've got to remember about Pandemonium is after you activate it, it's for the rest of the turn. You can't normal or special summon cards except Prank Kids. So you've got to make sure you make your Colossus before you activate that. Anyway, before using our normal summon, we'd activate Poly on Dropsies and Fancies and go into Rocket. That would then trigger Lampsies and, Dropsies and Fancies effects, so you'd get gain 1,000. Obviously, first of all, you would gain 1,000 and get out your Fancies, and then you would send one from your deck to the graveyard, so we're going to send Plan, and that would give us our Lampsies. You're then going to tribute off your Rocket and bring back your Dropsies and your Fancies. Now if you wanted to, you could have gone with a Dropsies play to go into a Toad, just to bait out a negation. Entirely up to you on how you'd want to play that one. Then if you link your Dropsies with your Lampsies and go into your Doodle Doo, Doodle Doo's effect will search you out place. Lampsies effect would go off and bring you out the Dropsies. It could be a Fancies if you wanted to, because then you could go into more Thunder Dragon plays. But we haven't normal summoned yet either, so we'll activate the place, use Place's effect to search us out. You could go for a Fire, that would give you the Butler effect. We're going to search out the Fancies. We're going to discard our Thunder Dragon Roar to add this. That means we've triggered Colossus ability. tribute off the fancies and go into Colossus. Tribute off Doodle Do and add back Plan, and let's add back Dropsies. Then we haven't normal summoned yet, so you can normal summon your fancies. You can link these two together and go into a Bow Wow Bark over here. You can treat this off into another Colossus if you want to, or alternatively, if you want to keep these, you would search out the fire, and then you could go into a Butler, nuke your opponent's board. So it does give you a couple of alternate plays. So if you would link these two up and go into your Bow Wow Bark, you can then, not Bow Wow Bark, you can go into another Doodle Do if you wanted to. Doodle Do could then tribute once per turn, I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, you can only use each effect. So yeah, you would go into your Bow Wow Bark, and then you've got a bit of defensive play during your opponent's turn should you wish. But if you want to go all out, of course, you could then tribute this off and go into a second Colossus. Your opponent's monsters all lose 500 because of Bow Wow Bark. And then you kind of just push through from there. You've got the trap that you can use and abuse during your opponent's turn if you wanted to. Of course, you've got pranks as well. And then, of course, you've got Pandemonium. So what you could then do is you would, let's say we attack with all this, and during our opponent's turn, we'd activate Bow Wow, trimming him off, bringing out Fancies, and let's go Dropsies, because we've gone through all of those. We could have used Pranks as well, and that would have spun 3 bat and let's draw 1. You could then activate Pandemonium, going these two into your Wishy-Washer, tribute your Wishy-Washer effect off to bring back Bow Wow and Doodle Do. Then activate a trap, link these two, go into Rip Roar, and then Rip Roar would nuke your opponent's back row. So you've got back row negation. They can't search. They're under 2 Colossus as well. And then you've pushed through for a substantial amount of damage. Obviously, like I said, you could go, if you wanted to guarantee the 56, you could Regeki your opponent's board. It really depends on what you're coming up against too, as whether or not you go to Rip Roarer or whether you go into your Butler. So anyway, now let's get on to our final test hand going second. So after we've got our shuffle and a decent cut, we will draw our final hand of 6 being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow, we got all the prank kids. That's fine, we've got a lot of fusion plays going on right now. You need to start off with the fusion plays, that's what you really, really need. So let's poly Lampsies and Dropsies and go into, of course, our trusty rocket. Lampsies and Dropsies effect. Let's get out a Fancies and a Lampsies. Gaining 1,000 and burning 500. There we go. Rockets effect. Tribute it off. Bring back a Lampsies and a Dropsies. Link this Lampsies and this Fancies into a Doodle Do. Lampsies effect and Doodle Do's effect. Doodle Do to search out a place. Lampsies effect to send the trap. Wherever it is, there we go, trap. And send back, summon out Dropsies. That'll be our last Dropsies. Let's put that over there. Then your opponent's monsters lose 500 off of, no sorry, we haven't done that yet. Activate the place. Place, search out the last fire. There we go. So this one you can actually Heavy Storm and Regeki your opponent's board if I do this right, I believe. Yeah, no, you can do that now. You could link these two with this one for your Rip Roarer, Heavy Storm, and then you can activate Pandemonium for these 3 and Regeki, but you can save that for during your opponent's turn anyway. You could activate Doodle Doo's effect to add 2 back if you wanted to, or of course you could use the Pandemonium and get the Pandemonium back. So if you wanted to, you could activate Pandemonium, those 3 into the Butler, then tribute off the Doodle Doo, or you do your battle phase first if you wanted to, but you tribute off the Doodle Doo, add back the Pandemonium and the trap. You can Regeki your opponent's board if you want to, and then the Pandemonium is going to be used to protect it with Wishy-Washy during your opponent's next turn. Entirely up to you on which route you want to go for. you know, that's kind of dependent on the way you want to play it. Of course, alternatively, instead of fusing all into the butler, you could start, not that one, it was that one, wasn't it? You could fuse into a YUGIOH, or of course you can link up even more into a Bow Wow Bark. So you can link up into a Bow Wow Bark if you wanted to, and that alternatively gives you a bit more damage on board. It's entirely on the way you want to go push further forward. And then of course you can set your Pandemonium, set your trap. That will allow you to Rip Roar and Raigeki during your opponent's turn as well. So again, it's entirely up to you on how you'd want to play this, or how you'd want to push going further forward. Because then again, what you've got to remember is you'll also get some of these back. You've got to make sure you haven't gone through all of them, but it still gives you some of them back to hand and push plays further forward that way. So that's just another example of, you know, they do have OTK capabilities. You just have to open up really, really well and push in that specific direction with minimal disruption. But it also has a lot of disruption effect during your opponent's turn in the sense of a Raigeki and a Harpy's Feather Duster, which is always going to be questionable in disruption. And then, like I said, if you want to be a bit more protective, you can focus more on a Toad play, you can focus more on a Colossus play. You do have the options there to play around with them. For now, when Rock comes out, they'll get even better as well, so don't worry about that. They do get better with time. Anyway, I hope this has helped you kind of understand the way that the prank kits work, if you want to be building them or if you're going to be facing them, and I hope you enjoy them. They are very, very cheap to pick up. I think people are selling cores of these for like 50 odd quid, obviously not including the Colossus and the Thunder Dragon, just pure prank kit cores. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Until next time, guys, as always, happy dueling.
Also, YouTube, thanks for watching that video. I hope you liked it. If you did, hit that like button. And of course, don't forget to hit that big red subscribe button in the bottom left-hand corner and the notification bell so you don't miss out on anything. We've got more deck profiles, duels, pack openings, and many more Yu-Gi-Oh videos coming up for you all year round. So don't forget to stay tuned for all of that. Thanks, and as always, guys, happy dueling.